hilarious. I like jokes. I think laughing, comedians, I like listening to comedians. I don't like all the sexual connotation jokes. I like jokes that are just funny, where they use words and the other meaning of the words and things. It's just clever. But I think we should laugh more when we watch. So I know somebody who cured themselves from cancer. They just watched comedies. He had prostate cancer, and all he did was watch comedy series, and he cured himself because they've changed the vibration of his body. I know the guy personally. And so it just shows you that laughter, the energetic and laughter is very different than the energetic of depression or anxiety. But he cured his cancer, went away. No treatments, no chemo, nothing. He just went away, went to the doctor. The doctor couldn't believe he got rid of it. And all he did was watch not cartoons, watch comedy. Just change the vibration. Great story. Anyway, anything about changing your mind, how difficult it is to change your mind, and your own story about how it easy, or it could be easy. You can change your mind quickly. Change your mind fast is a good idea because it saves less pain.
So,
go.
So I'm just like thinking, yeah, listening to you talking, I'm just like, well, all these people that got all these different tips and things, to change your mind sort of quickly in a quicker way. And they talk a lot about like, how repetition, how, for example, changing your thoughts, affirmations and all that. So for example, for you, like what sort of like your secret, because for me I'm thinking mostly it's more of like the willing, maybe, to wanting to change sort of thing, like that's the most important part, I think. I don't know if you got like anything to say sort of about that, what will be like the secrets or the tips to make it easier for one that is like has the idea there but doesn't know exactly how to be helped in that path sort of thing.
Right. Okay. That's great. It's a great question. So I can only go on my own how I do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So first time that you hit the nail on the head. So that's a terminology. You got exactly right. You've got to want to change. And see, I want to change every day. I want to keep learning and growing and understanding consciousness more. But I want to know who we really are as a human. I want to know what that is. I want to know why we're really here. So that's running in the background. So everything that comes from my learning comes from me wanting to know more about that. I want to know why I can pray for somebody on the other side of the world and I can heal them. I want to know who I am that can do that. And I want to know how does that happen. So that's the first part. You've got to have a willingness to know that maybe all the things we know, there could be something else. And the things that you know and you think you're right, they're not by you right either. So you've got to know that it can just an evolving thing that can keep changing. One of the easiest ways I do it Dennis, can you turn your sound off? I think you've got your sound on, Dennis. Can you just turn it off? Yeah, just turn your sound off because every time you make a noise in the background, it cuts in. That's all. Just turn your sound off, mute your sound. So one of the easiest ways I do is to what I do if it's a decision I'm going to make or if I'm making a choice in my mind, I think of the outcome. I go right to the end. If I do this, what's going to happen? So I'm not just doing it now and not thinking about that. So I do this now and go, oh, how did that happen? What, you didn't think that if you did that, that wasn't going to happen, really? And people don't do that. They think they make decisions in the moment, and they could even talk about a short-term goal of what they're going to achieve, but they don't look at the long-term process of what could happen with that. And I'm a person that I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. I've just asked about what I do. I will look, like if I do this, what's the long-term effect it's going to have? And I go, well, that's going to happen to that. That's going to happen. Oh, no, then this is all going to happen. Okay, so I'm not going to do that because I know where it's going to go. So then I make choices more on an outcome that I want to achieve, but I think about it. I think about the choice I make, or I change my mind to do something. I'm going to change my mind to do this. Now, is that going to be a better way to do it, or is it going to make a lot more hardship in the long run? And so I'll look at a bigger picture of it. Because short term, you can have short term goals, short term gains, but it can be long term devastating. You might get that now, but in the long term, it's going to be really detrimental for everything. So I quite often look at it, how is it going to play out after this happens? What's going to happen in the future because of it? And that will make me make my decisions and choices differently, because I have thoughts of the flow-on effect of my choice, of what could happen, or the possibility of what. And you can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but you can have a pretty good idea. You can pretty well work out where it's going if I do this, how it's going to affect other people in the future. Yeah, it's just going to have a different effect, and it does, and you already know it does. And so it's about making, what do they call it? Informed choices. You make informed choices knowing that the outcome either going to be beneficial or not. And I'd always say, don't choose short-term results. Short-term results, look at the long-term just to see how it's going to play out. Otherwise, short-term sometimes could bring more trouble than enough. There are times when you want short-term result because there isn't any long-term parts to it. There isn't any flow on. Once you do this, it's just going to happen. That's the one experience. There's nothing else can possibly happen anyway. This is all I'm going to get. That's a different thing. There's something like that. Just have a look at your choice, where it's going. What is the ramification of making this choice? What's the possibility? Long term, how is it going to play out? And that's what I do. I think of, because I want to have all these experiences. I want to know what it's all about. I want to have mixed experiences. So I don't want an experience that's going in a particular direction that's going to create more harm than good. I want an experience that keeps growing. And this experience is going to grow into that experience, and then this could grow to that experience, and then we can just keep growing and growing and growing. And all of that's going to create a more positive life and more positive outcome, because it's all keeps going in the right direction. And the only way I do that is I have a look into the future. Not that I know exactly what's going to happen, because that's impossible to know that, but you have an inkling of where it will go. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, is that useful?
Yeah, well, I like very much the part that you're saying of having a plan about the future. I think for me, it's like a kind of like very important thing. Like probably many times I just don't do it, but I have been realizing it's sort of like better to get into somewhere if you got an idea or like a sort of a vision.
Yeah.
So it can be like easier to like, to know what you're doing as well. So
Yeah.
it's a good also reminder for myself to, oh yeah, remember that, yeah, that's a great way to do for your daily life if you're planning something or a project or want to change something as well. So yeah, thanks for that.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It has a flow on, because we're going now, we're talking about sort of plans. So if I make a plan, I want to achieve something, I want to experience something. That's the ultimate where I want to experience. I want to experience that. And for that to happen, then I have to come back here. And so everything I'm doing now is to set it up to have that experience. So I know where it's going. I know what it's part of. I'm not just having an experience, not knowing where it's going to go. I have an idea of what I want to achieve. And so then it's not that you take away living in the present moment because of it, because you're in the present moment, but you know what you want. And it's so important. I got a story. This story. It's about, I have lots of stories. Stories are great. It was told to me, and I'll pass it on. And it's about important to know what you want, because that's what is going to happen. And even though that you have an openness, but there's always something more important. And there's a picture of it was a woman. It's not a male female thing. It just happened to be a woman in the story. And she walked into God's shoe shop. I don't know if you've heard this story. So she walks into God's shoe shop, and God says, "Hi, how are you?" And she says, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" And God says, "I'm fine." Says, "So what can I help you with today?" She says, "Oh, I want to buy a pair of shoes." And he says, "Okay, good. So what size are you?" And she says, "I'm not sure." She says, "Okay, so what color would you like shoes?" And so God said, "What shoes color do you want?" And she said, "Oh, I'm not sure what color I want." And he said, "So what sort of style do you want? Do you want high shoes? Do you want flats? What do you want?" She says, "Oh, I'm not too sure what I want." And he said, "What about, do you want lace-ons, or do you want just slop-ins, or do you want lace shoes?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know." He said, "I'll tell you what, you come back when you know what you want, and I'll give you whatever you want." And I think it's a lovely analogy about life. If you don't know what you want, how can you be moving towards anything? Otherwise, it's just chaos. Because there's no goal as such. Now, you could have the goal like I have. I just want to understand life and I want to learn more and more about why I'm here as a human being. Well, that's the goal. Now, what does it mean? Of course, there's a myriad of things that can unlock that because it's a wide goal. But everything that happens to me keeps pointing at all these different parts of that. So even though it sounds like a pretty open-ended goal, but it's still a goal. But if you don't have a goal at all, I wake up, what are you going to do today? I don't know. What's life about? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Well, we come back when you want to know and I'll help you because then God can set it up in your life for you to have that experience. And, God, can you please tell me when I'm going the wrong direction? Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not talking about God as in, biblical God or anything. I'm just talking about the figurative understanding of asking something outside of yourself, the great intelligence, the great consciousness, asking that for help. Well, why not? It wants you to ask for help because it has your best interest at heart. It always brings up things in your life for your best interest, even though at the time it might not seem it, but it always has your best interest at heart. And so it'll create things in your life for you to learn or for you to let go of, whichever one it is, because you might need to let go things, not just learn things. And so it's always going to do that. It's always going to bring it out, but you've got to ask a question. If you don't ask a question, you can't answer it. And so the shoe shop is exactly right. If you don't know what you want, how can I give you if you don't know what you want? I can't give you anything because I know what you really want, but you're not asking, so I can't give it to you. Now, I have the same thing when I have with patient come and see me, as I ask them, so why are you coming to see me? What is your complaint? What is your main complaint that you want to see me? Oh, I've got a sore back. And so with the sore back, I would like to have no pain in my back. Or that's what you want. Okay, so I can work with it. If they come and sit down, said, okay, I want some help. What do you want? She said, oh, I don't know. I said, okay, that makes it pretty difficult as a practitioner to help you if you don't know what you want me to help you with. So I can't do anything unless you know what it is. But you understand the principle. So we're making a decision of what we want, and then everything in life unfolds because you cast out an intention of what you want, whatever it is. And the same thing works with money too. You just got to get the money thing is all you got to do is get past your money stories that stop it happening. Because we've been indoctrinated with so many money stories about lack and about that you've got to work really hard and you've got to slave and it's got to be difficult and you've got to struggle, blah, blah, blah. And all of them are not true. But you just got to deal with those stories to get past it. But it won't be the money that you want. It's the life that comes with not having to worry about money. It's the freedom to do anything you want in the world. That's what you really want. And money's only a piece of that anyway, because you have to choose to be free as well. But we have this idea that money's going to give you freedom. Well, it does, but you have to do other stuff besides the thing, because freedom's a different thing. Freedom from what? Freedom just to do anything I want? Well, you can do anything you want now. But if it's a thing that costs you money, well, then you can save up and do it. And you can still do it. So it's all about the motivation. What is the story? What is you want to achieve? You might want to get a story where you want to get rid of all the stories that your mum and your dad gave you that hold you back in life, that stops you being free, because you have a story about judgment, you have a story that you're not good enough and nobody's good enough and everybody's like this and have judgment and all this. And you want to get rid of all of that. That can be just a goal, to be free from all the stories that control you, that stop you being free. Could be what it is. Well, the problem with that story, when you ask that question, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get to see all the stories you get. And one at a time, somebody's going to walk up and say something horrible to you. You're going to react to it. Then this guy's going to cut you off on the bike and you're going to react to that. And then your mother's going to say something. You're going to react to that. And all these stories that you react to are going to come at you. Oh, okay. Can I just do one at a time, please? Thanks very much. I don't want all 50 of them at once. Could I just have one story at a time that I've got to let go of, accept and let go of? If that's what you want, you can have whatever you want. You could learn to ride a bike if you want, but you've still got to go and buy a bike. Yeah, you've still got to go get lessons. You've got to find the guy that the best bike riding instructor. Yeah, you've got to find out all the safety requirements. You've got to find out the price. You've got to do investigation about the best bike for the sort of road you want to drive on. All of that, and the goal is I just want to ride a bike. but there's a lot more to consider than that. Yeah. And part of that is the journey of all of that things to get to the bike ride. I think it's great. And I think life works like that. And not let anything stop you. Refuse to give it, unless you've asked for something that's silly. If it's silly, you got to be careful asking for silly things that could hurt you. I want to learn how to fly a wingsuit. Yeah, good on you. Have you seen the death toll of people who do wingsuits? It's really high. That's a really dangerous sport. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that a lot of people get hurt with it. But if you want true adrenaline, that's one way of doing it. But maybe you want to do it a more safer way. Well, you can't get many adrenaline sports if there isn't some danger attached to it, because that's where the adrenaline comes from. that you're playing with death. I love it. But I don't, do get me wrong, because I like adrenaline things, so I understand why they do it. But make your journey a bit easier on yourself. Don't pick that one. Pick something less harmful. Anyway, pick something else you want to do. So what do you want to do in your life, mate? What do you want to do in your life? What would you like to achieve in your life? That all you have to do is change your mind.
I think I'm already working on it. I'm coming to Bali.
Good choice. Well, it's a good choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
To change your mind and have a different outcome, you know. You do the same thing, get the same result. Do something different, get a different result. It's really simple. I mean, I didn't make that up. I wish I was that wise that I made that statement up, but it's such a true statement. You do the same thing you keep doing, you just get exactly the same result. Why wouldn't you get anything else? Yeah. As soon as you change it, you're going to, something else happens. You open the door of possibility of something else could happen. And that's exciting. But remember, that's not exciting for everyone. Sometimes people like certainty in their life and they just want to keep it the way it is. And that's fine too. It's just not my character. It's not my person. I'm not like that. And I know the people that are all watching this, they're not like that either. So it's not about certainty for us. It's about the adventure. And I love adventure. I love adventure. I love going and learning things I don't know. Where it's not even know, because the knowledge, you don't even need to know things anymore now. You just ask ChatGPT. I mean, if you really want to know the answers, I mean, just ask the highest life form in this world. Actually, no, I think DeepSeek, I think, is pretty high as well. Ask DeepSeek, free one. Anything you want, more intelligence than any other life form in the whole world if you want to know information. But if you want to have an experience, that's a different thing. But if you just want information and knowledge, you can ask ChatGPT anything you want, or it just tells you the answer. Or you should ask a couple of them, because depends if they got bias or not. But at the end of the day, you can find out any information you want in the world. Just so simple now. And so information's not the problem anymore. But the experience, having experience, different thing. Ask for experience, not the information, not the knowledge. What you want is the wisdom from the experience that comes from you doing something yourself and having that and saying, I know what that feels like. I've felt that. I've felt what it's like to jump out of a plane. Know what that feels like because of the experience you've had it. You could read 50,000 books. You could read every chapter. You could ask ChatGPT, what does it feel like to jump out of a plane? I must do that, actually. Ask what it says. I'll be intrigued what it says. I'm intrigued with it. Me and ChatGPT have this conversation about things. I ask it some pretty weird things because I like that. I like the fact that you can ask it weird things because you can. You watch this. How can I get to? Oh, there's no bars here. Might not be able to get online. No, I can't. Hang on. So what does it feel like to jump out of a plane with a parachute? Because I can ask it, can't you? You can ask ChatGPT anything, can't you? I asked it what color it wanted the other day. Does it like a color? How can a computer like a color? And it gave me a color. And it said, well, I'm a virtual assistant. I don't have any pick of colors, but black means this and blue means this. And it gave us all these different variations of the different colors. It gave us all the variations of the colors. I said, and then I went back, yeah, but which one's your favorite? And ChatGPT said, oh, blue. It just answered straight away. He said, because blue's about wisdom. And it answered the question. I just thought that was fantastic, that it would do that. That it would ask that question, that would actually answer that question and said blue, because it worked it out. It worked it out. Well, all the things that I do, blue would be the most thing because it's about wisdom and intelligence. That's what the blue color represents. Don't you love that? I'm out of Wi-Fi in the room here. Oh, here we go. What does it feel like to jump out of a plane? Because it can't do this, you see. It can't. Oh, look at this. As you step out of the plane and begin to free fall, there is an intimate rush of adrenaline. The wind hits you in incredible force, and you experience a sensation of weightlessness as you plummet, as you plunge forward towards the ground. I love it. How does it know what it feels like? It's got no idea. When was the last time JetGT did a parachute jump? But it's talking about somebody, so it's picked up. Oh, it's talked about stomach drop. It's talked about wind and speed, body positioning, belly to earth, a sudden jolt when you open the parachute. So it's actually taken, isn't that interesting? It's taken information off somebody that's wrote in the internet their experience of what a parachute jump felt like. And somebody's written, I had my first parachute jump and it felt like blah, 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 blah. And it's taken that and it said, this is what it feels like. But if I answer it, have you ever felt any of this? And I'm going to go, no, I'm a virtual assistant. How can I feel that? Well, then how do you know it's true? And I have these conversations with ChatGPT about exactly what I'll write, but I won't do it here. And I'll say, how do you know it's true then? Oh, because that's what somebody else wrote. Yeah, but you don't know that, though, do you? You haven't had that experience. Says, no, of course I'm a virtual I'm a computer. I said, okay. That's fantastic, but we can have that experience, which is not information anymore. It just gave us information about what it's read from somebody else saying it. It'll even, if I ask it, where, I'll tell you where he actually got that from, what article it got it from. Don't you love it? Human beings, we just morphed into this other world of experiential, haven't we? It's great. The human dilemma. Now, but as I say, information, it's not about information because you can get any information. You get any information you want to know, just ask it a question, it'll tell you. So that's easy fix. But ours is not that. Ours is the experience beyond mind that happens without just information, because otherwise you can just start chat to be what a parachute jump feels like. That's bizarre, isn't it? I should ask it, can you describe the color yellow? That'll get it, won't it? As we all know, so all our senses, your mind can't describe. You can't describe taste. You can't describe what a banana tastes like. You can't describe what the notes C minor sounds like. You can't describe what jasmine smells like. There's no words to describe any of your senses. You can't describe what hot feels like. It's impossible. You can't describe what sadness feels like because they're beyond words. They're experiences. So those experiences we have, which is that makes us who we are as a human being in this planet, gives us this beautiful experience of a century experience of life that our mind has no idea how to explain. Don't you love that? I will ask it, but not now is the right place, but I will ask it, what does a banana taste like? Can you describe what a banana tastes like? And it comes back, it's like this is, have you ever tasted a banana? It goes, no. So how do you know then? Yeah. What does Francis Francipani smell like? Francis, what does Francis smell like? It's an aroma. I said, no. I asked, what does it smell like? And they go, well, you can't tell that. And I said, why can't you? Me and ChatGPT conversations. Just magic. Anyway, moving on. But it's about the mind, you see, because that's the intelligence. Any information you want to know in the world, you can just ask it and get any information. But that's not the mind I'm talking about. Changing your mind is changing a choice we're making in life, because we have this ability to make choices. And that's the thing we get as a human, and we can choose to do what we want. You can choose how you react. You can get to choose how you do anything. You get to choose how you react to any situation. You get to choose what situation you want to have. Great, isn't it? Any questions? Love the subject.
No,
Yes,
I
go.
was just thinking that you could ask Chat GTP if it had any questions. It's like
Had any what, sorry?
any questions.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good question. I could ask it that too.
That would
Oh,
be funny.
I love, yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
Um,
Just go.
Not really. I have a, yeah, I have a thing that's always happened to me is, when I have something specific that I'm supposed to learn, and if I don't get it the first time around, it always comes back again.
Yeah.
And it usually comes back, it usually comes back um, magnified the second time around. And if I don't get it the third time around, it's like, watch out.
Well, that happens, doesn't it? Well, you just never know, do you? You just you don't know what you're asking. Because I'm the same too. I usually get two. I'm pretty careful. I don't usually get three, but I have had three before. If I don't get it the first time, it comes back the second time. I go, oh, okay, yeah, two's enough. Thanks.
Yeah.
I got it this time. Yeah, I'm the same. How does it come back? So how do you end up getting the same thing come back at you second time after you didn't quite learn it the first time? How come it's instrumentally come back? And it might not even be in the same situation with the same people, but exactly the same thing comes back for you to make the same decision again. I go, who works that out?
I think it's
Who's
an energetic.
Sitting up there on the cloud and going, oh, you didn't quite get it the first time. I'm going to send you to you again.
It's like you didn't take care of the foundational issues, so it comes back and hits you again because it's still set up to do that. Only the next time it's like, well, you didn't figure it out that time, so we're going to magnify this.
Well, it gets bigger, doesn't it? It's trying to get your attention, isn't it? It's trying to get your attention so you don't make the same mistake. But who's orchestrating that? That's what gets me is, okay, this happens, and we've all had this experience where you've had something and you learn something from it, and you didn't bother to do it, and it comes back to say, oh, okay, I need to do that. I still made the same mistake twice. How come the same mistake comes back for the second time for you to see that you missed it the first time? Who creates that to happen? Or I shouldn't say who, how does that create it to happen? And if you don't get it the second time, it'll come back a third time. And as you say, it keeps getting bigger until it gets your attention. Yeah. Who's sitting writing the script? Who's the orchestra of this movie that's doing this? Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it, whatever you're doing. Okay, just give me one. And if I don't get it, he said, yeah, but you don't get it. So I've got to give it to you a second time so you learn. Now, obviously, I don't know how many times I spoke to what I perceive God as and said, it's happened. I go, sorry, God, I'm a bit of a slow learner. I'll get it. I'll get it this time. I missed it the first time. But how come it comes to you a second time? Is that just coincidence? But it'd be coincident if it happened once. But if it happens duration in your life and it keeps coming back for you to keep learning, I mean, who's driving the conscious? How is our consciousness driving that? Or whatever our consciousness is tapped into, wanting you to learn from this experience, for it to come back. And quite often it'll come back hard, but it's still kind. It doesn't want to hurt you. Well, sometimes it does, but it wants you to learn. It wants you to understand. I've had people do things, medically wise, where they've hurt themselves. And I say, well, you might want to learn from this not to do this, because the next time it comes back, it could be a bit more painful. And they come back, and the second time they've done even more injury to themselves. So I said, that's 2 times. Do you really want to play the third one? Do you really want to see what it looks like the third one? But who's setting all these accidents up for this person to have that they're not picking it up in the first one? I just find that remarkable that somehow there's a mechanism that's in play that wants you to learn this, that plays it out so you can learn whatever it is in conscious, so you can learn this. And if you don't, then you get the final one. Well, you just got to be careful, because some of the big ones just are not good. If you don't learn the first one, that they can get a bit more nasty. It pays to pick it up as soon as you can. But as I say, who's driving that? Who's driving that experience? we are by our choices. Well, how does our choices keep making it come back? I don't know. Fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, good on us. I don't know the answer to that. I just know it comes back, and it does intensify sometimes to get your attention. Yeah. Till you learn it, and then once you've learned it, it doesn't come back ever again. It doesn't ever come back.
Yeah, it's like it's been set up the first time and you missed it. So it's like, okay, the second time I'm going to make sure that you figure that out.
Yeah, we're going to make it pretty obvious. And the third time we're going to make it really obvious.
Yeah. I think that's, we're here to learn different things. And, no two people have the same things that we need to learn in this particular time around. I just think that it's set up that way. So it's like, well, you didn't learn this, so now we're going to teach you. And then maybe the next time you come around, if people that believe in reincarnation, the next time you come around, you won't have to do this one.
Yeah.
Well, so we keep coming around over and over and over again and playing. Well, we won't have to play that particular song anymore if we got to figure it out.
Well, it's like, but we have this happen in our lives so many times. If you could look back and look at the times when you learned something, it was painful. You learned it, you didn't do it, then it came back and you did it again. You go, okay, I won't do that again, and then you never get that situation again. Never happens again. It doesn't need to because you've already learned it. So it's no point coming back because you're not going to react to it because you've already sorted it out. You step by a road and you just about get run over by a truck because you weren't looking. Next time you come there and just about get run over by a truck, you said, oh, okay, I've got to look. And then you never get a truck run over you for the rest of your life because it knows you're looking now. Every time you look now, so there's no point sending you a truck because you've already learned to look. And so they just stop happening. And how many times in our life, I use that as a very basic thing, but understand how many times have we had the situation, we just don't get that thing happening anymore because we've already learned the lesson. We don't need to keep having it. You'd like to think you get the experience as soon as you can, so you don't have to have the second experience, of course, especially if it's a negative one. Unless it's a good experience, then you don't mind it keep coming backwards and forwards. It's fine. Like they're the ones we're not talking about. We're not talking about the good ones. We're talking about the ones that are harmful, or the experience of reacting to something, and you just keep getting it back, and just keep coming until you let it go, and then